Because I can. Cool. So you good to go, Brian?
Yeah.
Sweet deal. All right, then let's use my super secret cheat, which helps me in the editing, because post is such a bitch, man. Serious, it is.
Welcome to the show. Today's episode is proudly sponsored by Grow Generation, where the pros go to grow. More on them in a bit.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Anime-Versal Reviews, the LRM genre-verse podcast for anime. You know, it's kind of in the title, in the pictures, in the SEO. Obviously, you guys are here for a reason, and that is to talk about the great show that came out a few years ago and has a sequel series that came out this year and is going to have some other stuff coming up in the future. SSSS.Gridman. I am one of the hosts of this show, Kyle Malone. I'm joined, as always, by my significant other, my wife, Christine.
Hi.
And our best friend, brother, significant other, hetero life mate, whatever you want to call him, Brian. What's up, bud?
Hey.
Oh, man. I have been trying to get Brian to watch this show for so long. And finally, I was like, you know what? Because there's stuff happening, and in the future I would love to do it in more real time. It's like, hey, we're covering it for AVR, man. And I tried to get Christine to give it another shot and still failed, dude. I've pretty much decided that unless the robot is dealing with like the existential crises in like Ghost in the Shell, she doesn't give two fucks about mechs, robots,
giant things fighting.
Does not care.
Doesn't care.
There's some things that I like. I don't know, just some of it I don't.
Yeah. Anyways, for those of you guys that might not have seen all of Gridman, there will be spoilers during this discussion once we get past just our like initial takes on it. Yeah, if you don't mind the spoilers, cool. If you do, come back and check out our points of view afterwards. And the best way to do that, of course, is hit that subscribe button on YouTube if you're watching us on there, or if you're listening on the audio format on your favorite podcast. What is it called? App. There you go. Jeez, I'm so used to like old PC terms, so I'm still I call program like.
Old man.
I know.
You're ancient.
Right? I use ancient terminology like user and program, and anyways, which are very important in this in this context. But yeah, follow us on there, and you can join us, especially when we're doing stuff in real time. So I just want to start off since Brian, I kind of got you into this. What was your initial reaction, man?
It's a slow burn, but in a good way. What I mean is, what it starts out as, it slowly becomes something else.
Right.
And so, on the surface, you watch a trailer or whatever, and you're like, oh, okay, cool. This sort of giant hero kaiju thing, and then as it progresses, it's like, wow, there's more going on here, and I very much got sucked into it. And the story really opens up around like 4, 5, 6. It's a 12-ish, 12
yeah,
episodes.
The depth, just it's like walking off the continental shelf.
Yeah.
I found it to be incredibly interesting just on when I saw that it was connected in spirit to the US version of the source material for all of this, which in Japan was Denkou Choujin Gridman. No, I'm mispronouncing that first word. I always have trouble with the OU at the end. But and in America we had Superhuman Samurai Syber Squad. Hits the 4 S's in this Gridman title. And Christine is 2 years and some change, or 3 years and some change younger than me. And she's also a very, very, very was a very, very stereotypical American female child in the 90s, and so Power Rangers and stuff never interested you at all, did it, Christine?
No.
So like none of the like And not even the old anime shows like Speed Racer and
No.
Voltron. None of that ever caught your eyes.
No.
How did I marry you?
I don't know. We have other things in common.
Yeah, definitely. You can find out more about that on the Midnight Run. So,
Yes.
anyways, what did you think about when I was like, hey, will you at least the first time I was like, we tried the show out like months ago, and you're like,
some of them are just so disappointing. For me, because it's just not my style. I like robots and machines. You had mentioned Ghost in the Shell. I liked Vision of Escaflowne. I like FLCL. But like this, just some of those, with machines, it's just kind of, it's the human part that drives me crazy. Sometimes it could just be a little cheesy, or with this one, it just dragged out and it just didn't hold my interest. And then the girl, what's her name?
Akane.
Yeah, she's creepy and annoying. I don't like her. So
it is interesting. There's a few anime stereotypes that are in here, and Brian and I will definitely talk to them in depth. But there's some sexualization and stuff like that, and you often wonder. And Brian, tell me if you had the same thoughts go through your mind. I wondered if this was someone that was just using the trope or the stereotypical situation because that's just the way it is, or was it commentary? Because there's a lot of things that could be taken multiple ways given the context of the show. What did you think about some of the kind of annoying things that did happen? Did you think maybe they were commentary or no?
I couldn't tell. We discussed yesterday some of that and briefly, but I don't know. We'll get into it because there's only, when it comes to some of that stuff specifically, it only really to me was bothersome in one specific episode.
Yeah,
it's one episode to me that stands out and feels completely different than all the others, and I don't know why and what was the purpose and what was the thinking, but as far as Akane, that's a character that started out as the show progressed, especially in the last couple episodes. I was really into the concept and the idea of the character. Matter of fact, I was blown away by it where it ended up going. But
absolutely,
yeah, I could definitely see some of the annoyances early on, especially.
Christine, what besides that awesome OP, what would you do you have any positive stuff to talk about, like any of the character designs and animation, any of the story elements at all? Did anything catch your eye?
I deleted it from my brain. I don't remember much. I got the gist of what it was about, and then it's like I'm trying to listen, but my ADHD brain can't focus in on it because I'm not interested. So it's just kind of like, what's going on here? I zoned out.
A big ass mountain. It was cool.
I know, right? It put the Adamantoise from Final Fantasy 15 to shame. Like, jeez.
I don't know, cause
that thing took me over an hour to beat. Constant fighting. I don't think I stopped very much.
Yeah, what? I got nothing else. I just didn't like it, and that's the thing. Like, my brain will do that where it's just like, I've already shut down and I already hate it. So if there is good parts of it, I'm like, and I'm just gonna get on my phone and I'm gonna just be on my phone. Oh, interesting thing happening, whatever. Just it's just hard.
She's like, did that guy just turn into a sword?
Yes,
like,
he did.
Oh, okay, yeah. All right, getting back to whatever I'm doing. Just I don't know why I'm like that. I just am.
Bravo for the disability representation, specifically those that suffer with speech impediments. That's what I'm talking. God, if you guys think I'm sincere, please go check out the Daily Cog, okay? The Daily Cup of Genre on our YouTube channel. All right, Christine, you know what? I can't take this negativity. I'm going to have to kick you the fuck out of my room.
Well, fine.
Out of the studio here, which used to just be my room. But, dude, she invaded it. Like, she was like, it'd be great if we work together, because she, you write for the site now, LRMonline.com, and it was a trick. to just
I
be
thought it'd be
here.
a good idea, but
Mhm.
it is true. I do invade your spaces.
Mhm. All right. So yeah, Christine's gonna go ahead and take a break because she doesn't really have much more to say.
My
than
opinion
that.
no longer matters.
Yeah. So, thanks, Christine.
You're welcome.
Actually, you know what, Christine? One last thing before we get in too far into it. Brian, we haven't gotten a chance to talk on this show about it. One show we are 100% for certain covering in real time, in the sub format as soon as we can get our hands on it, is Chainsaw Man. Like, dude,
Yes.
how fucking brutal was that trailer for you?
Oh yeah. I mean, it was all the goodness of the late 80s, 90s anime vibes. You know, that I mean, we're going to the extreme side, Wicked City type stuff, but I don't know if it'll completely go into those territories, maybe. But yeah, no, man. Violence, gore, anime. Yep.
Yeah, Christine.
When I watched it, my jaw dropped. And then I rewatched it, and then I rewatched it, and then I rewatched it, and I'm like, oh my god, I cannot wait for this to come out.
It's a pretty fucking intense
Yeah.
trailer. If anyone has not, if you manage to be into anime and miss out on that, it is a very popular manga that got greenlit for a anime run, and it's a very it's so beloved actually that some of the manga readers are upset it's getting an anime adaptation because they're afraid of all of us invading their beloved Chainsaw Man space.
Aw, that's sad.
So
we won't ruin it on our end. We will just
no.
enjoy it, and then we'll calm down. Because I know, like, with some people, they get like so intense, you know, it ruins it for the people that were there before. Like, that's not my intention, but I will watch it, and I plan on enjoying the fuck out of it.
Absolutely. All right, with that, Kristen, get the hell out of here.
All right,
Brian, with Gridman, dude, you know, I'm gonna kind of take this, and I figured one of the best ways to kind of break it down would be to look at the story, the themes, and then look at some of the technical stuff like the animation and the music, and so, you know, spoilers and all of that going forward for everyone, of course. And this really focuses on a few characters. You got Yuta, who is kind of your primary protagonist. He's connected to the character Gridman, who exists inside of a computer. He's got a couple of friends, including Sho and Rika. There is the primary antagonist, a girl named Akane that goes to the same school as Yuta and his friends, and a alien named Alexis, and they make kaiju. And throughout the series, you're gonna see connections between these characters that you didn't know existed, including the fact that Akane created this world. It's basically Sim City. I mean, when you really think about it, that's what she's doing, dude.
Yeah.
And you're gonna go on a journey of things dealing with being an outcast, having control, feelings of helplessness. Some, like you said, some really deep themes start popping out around episodes 4, 5, and 6, and then, like I said, it's like off the deep end from there. And then yeah, dude, the world that they build, and kind of like the rules and the technology of how things travel, you know, how Yuta and Gridman are connected, how that world exists. Like I said, it's basically Sim fucking City. Take me through some of your like reactions seeing the story unfold.
First, quick note on Yuta. I hated his hair.
Oh, you hate his hair? The color?
No,
the shape?
the two little points.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why. It was the one. It just bothered me the entire time.
Aw.
Just one of those weird little things. But
Yeah.
But besides that, no, the performance, the character himself was really cool. I like the unfolding of the story. Like you said, talk about pacing. It's 12 episodes, and over it gives you a little bit each episode. And then what really shocked me about halfway through is when the antagonist and protagonist sort of all the cards are thrown on the table for the most part,
Mhm.
and it's like, hey, this is what's up. And I really like that. I also like the idea of, and this is more going, I'll save it for it's more towards the end, some of the themes and the ideas. But like you said, the whole idea is SimCity. She's b- built playing a game in some
Yeah.
ways, Um, but yeah, I all the characters I thought were fine. I think his show,
The
I think
male
I
friend.
think he needed a little more time
Yeah.
because they were developing a few little story ideas with him and Rika, and to me it didn't go anywhere. Or it needed
Yeah.
a little bit more. But
That line, especially where she's like, he won't make the first move, you're almost left like feeling if that was a translation error. Like,
yeah,
like, did somebody miss some context here? Like, he's not going to make the first move and apologize, because the voice actress there definitely makes it seem like a won't make the first move in a romantic sense. One of
what
the
was
oh, go ahead.
sorry, what was the character's name? I forget the kaiju kid.
Uh, uh, um, Auntie.
Okay, that's a character that I didn't know where they were going with that.
That was trippy, right?
Initially, and it as it went on, it became one of my favorite characters.
Mm-hmm.
Just sort of the story arc. I was like, whoa.
Not what you
Not
expected.
at all what I expected. No.
That's kind of what I really dig about this show is going into it. I expected to get an ultra-like series with some love for the original source material, but I didn't expect the amount of depth or even character arcs for Yuta's compatriots. The rest of the Gridman Alliance, if you will, the the Neon Genesis junior high school students. Yeah, I do love the reference. Like even the samurai, caliber character and the SSSS in the name, and then the Neon Genesis part. Yeah, that's the part that kind of made me think some of the more trope type things were more of a commentary or even maybe a tongue-in-cheek thing. Is just there's a little bit too many layers here for it to be just there for gratuitous purposes, I guess.
Well, even as far as Evangelion, anti the eye patch.
Yeah.
Like that immediately
Yep.
shot into my mind. Like, oh, okay. There was a lot of little nods. Yeah.
1000%. So yeah, I really appreciate them doing that in this series. Let's talk about kind of like the story for the characters. Kind of Yuta and his journey, which is more of a vessel for Sho and Rika's art, or not a shell, like a vehicle for their character development. Because like we said, spoilers, at the end of the show you find out that the person that you think has been Yuta all along has actually been the Gridman character, the Gridman being in Yuta's body. And only when they were put together could Gridman come forward and fight. And that when he leaves at the end of the day, because the heroes win at a cost to a degree, he's gonna leave, and Yuta will again have amnesia, and then the world will go forward from there. But it's Rika coming to terms with the feelings of not having control, of coming to terms with one's destiny. She finds out that Akane created her to not be able to resist her, to not be able to tell her no, like, you have no free will. That's a massive mind fuck. And Sho has to deal with coming to terms of who and how he is, and as far as being into geeky and pop culture, and even so much that he's like one of the first in the series where you go down these rabbit holes on each of these characters. He's one of the ones that doesn't even need Yuta's help to figure out he's being lied to. He's just like, wait, shit's going on too good. The girl of my dreams, all these figures. that I love some of the other things we're gonna go into with the world, Akane and Alexis and Auntie especially. But dude, am I wrong on that? I mean, this isn't about Yuta at all.
No, and like you said at the end, the reveal that it's not even him.
Mm-hmm.
It literally it's Gridman. So it it is about the characters around him. I would even argue in many ways, Rika is somewhat the main character in
Yep,
some ways, and
her and Akane for sure.
her and Akane. It's sort of their arc, and like you said, the whole idea of free will is explored, and I like how she sort of takes it because she's like, well, you're built to be my friend, but she sort of uses that to her advantage
Mm-hmm.
in the ending and the way it plays out, and so that was interesting to me. And it's in Akane is, I mean, like I said, that my I'm jumping a little ahead, but when she shows up with the scalpel, not scalpel,
Mm-hmm.
the razor
The
thing,
razor, the
I
exacto
what I
knife.
loved about that scene was how many times in these kinds of shows, even going back to the 90s, where you're like, man, like, there wouldn't just go to their base and shoot them, or you know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean, like.
Yeah.
And it was that moment where she's just like, screw it, just gonna I'm just gonna stab him. What the
Yeah.
hell?
Well, I
Yeah.
like that they even make a joke about it in the show when the Gridman Alliance is like, so we just go over there, yeah, and they literally walk out, down the street of house, and
Yes.
go mess with Akane and Alexis. It's fun. Like I said, that's yet one of those other layers where I'm just like, you know, some of these things that might annoy people, especially here in the West, where everyone is too sensitive. The people that are upset about people being too sensitive are too sensitive, myself included. Uh, but let's talk about Akane a bit, because she's definitely a stereotypically designed anime character. She's voiced very specifically, I think, with an intent. She's got a very breathy voice, and it's interesting to see her because she's the god of this world. She creates everything. She's playing SimCity, and she's choosing the natural disasters that happen with the Sims that she's unhappy with. It's almost even you start to wonder, is this person, have a comment on theology,
I think
religions,
so.
and the
Yeah.
idea of why do people attribute natural disasters to deities they claim are loving or caring or whatever. And so you had that same thought. Dig into it.
Yeah, because even the ending, the whole I built you to like me,
Mm-hmm.
and then being sort of frustrated with it, but then accepting it. And then the thing that I really enjoyed about Akane towards the end, to me, a brilliant idea. And this isn't a completely original concept, but the way it was executed was so well done. Essentially, a god losing faith in themselves, and
Yes.
I thought that was really a cool idea. And at that point, then what? She's just like, well, what's the point of anything? Like, she doesn't even know at the and then going to their base and just like, screw it, I'll just stab him.
Yeah.
And then even the last kaiju she built, this shitty one,
Mm-hmm.
she's like, whatever. And they're looking at it, they're like, what the hell is that? And they just beat the shit out of it. I was dying. I was laughing out loud on that one because it shows, because even the main alien guy, he's just like, are you sure?
Yeah. Yeah.
But then we learned that a lot of the idea of the kaiju and even what that thing mutates into, a lot of it has to do with her emotion and how she
Mm-hmm.
feels, and there's a whole other dynamic there. So it turns into one of the most nightmarish kaiju.
Yes.
In terms of the sound design on that thing was nightmare fuel,
Mm-hmm.
and the way it moved, the unnatural movements and everything. Yeah, it was really, and it was a simple design in terms of how it looked, but I really enjoyed that battle. Was really cool.
They really managed to blend a lot of elements of different genre of entertainment and stories. Horror, thriller, comedy, you know, the ultra series type stuff. What is that? To to Toka, Tokatsu, something like
Giant
that.
Hero. Yeah. I don't
Yeah,
know the name
yeah.
of it. Yeah.
I might someone if I'm close, help me out. But it's got a name like Super Sentai is Power Rangers, right? So it's got a name like that. Anyways, um, it blends all of these things together, both in its dialogue and story, but also in the animation, like you said, man. And we'll dig into the animation in a little bit. But let's carry. Oh,
Can
go
I
ahead.
jump to episode 5 real
Yeah,
quick? I
absolutely.
referenced it earlier. So you the entirety of the series, we were talking about Akane sort of being a little stereotypical in
Right.
design, as far as sort of a sexualization. It's in there, but it's not, to me, it's not overwhelming, except for episode 5. And it's not just her, it's multiple characters. I don't know why that episode in particular felt different than the rest. The way in which, I mean, you were sort of getting the sort of the panty shot thing going
Yep.
on, and all the characters were in bikinis, but there's a lot of focus on certain parts of the body.
Yep.
It stood out to me. And I didn't, since it was really only done in one episode, I was even thinking, is there some kind of commentary or some kind of artistic reason this is being done specifically in this episode, as opposed to the whole thing? I don't know, but the episode absolutely stands out in that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, it's wonderfully done, and even though you've got all of that weirdness in the animation department going on, that episode is an intense episode.
My favorite kaiju.
Dude, as shit starts really falling apart, you start seeing, oh my god, it's Sim fucking City. Like, they just crossed the border, and you had to go out into a loading screen and load up the next region.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the puppet master behind it all, the Alexis character, voiced by on the American side, Tim Curry actually voices the alien. I remember watching in Superhuman Samurai Syber Squad and being like, is that Long John Silver? Because that's what I think I recognized him from most when I was real young, from the Muppets Treasure Island. But and it, of course, but and then Home Alone 2. So yeah, well, it's Tim Curry. You recognize him from a lot of things once you start digging into it. But it was just it's another one of those cool little fun things. But you start wondering, kind of like, how did this being come to be? How did it get into that world to do what it did? And you look at the what you know about maybe Gridman OG or Cyber Squad, and you start going, is it a computer virus from somewhere else? Was someone attacking Akane's creation from the outside? What do you think about the Alexis character? Is there some depth, or do you think he's completely 2D and it's all Akane?
It was interesting because I kept wondering where it was going. It just seemed, Akane sort of, like we said, this god character, but at the end, he sort of is too. I mean, he is a god that's puppeteering a god, but it's for his benefit. He sort of gives us a little speech at the end about how, he sort of just enjoys this. And this is sort of part of a game for him. Matter of fact, when he loses at the end, he's literally shocked. Like, how the hell? He talks about how, I'm forever, I'm immortal, I have infinite lives.
Inevitable.
Yeah, and that it was literally sort of her belief in herself, and all that, gushy fan friends are powerful and all, that anime thing that they did at the end, which was fine and it worked beautifully, but that's what screwed him over. So I haven't seen the second series, the other series, and
right.
Is there direct connections? Can you give me just that one little nugget?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I can for certain tell you that Dyna on not only is directly connected, but is fully integrated into the mythology that you just witnessed.
Okay.
in like real time.
Because I went into Gridman knowing there was another series that
Yes.
was connected, and my thought was, especially with the ending of this, I was like, okay, well, maybe we'll get some of those answers in that potentially, specifically with him. But I don't know. I mean, the design's really cool. I mean, and it's in directly from the old series.
Mhm.
He's the same look.
Yeah, like I said, it's a testament to the to the creators and the writers and everyone involved with. Even Alexis, you're like, I can see where this is a completely 2D character that you guys gave no thought to, because that's the type of villain that he's meant to be. But I can also connect a couple dots here and see where you might be laying some tracks down for something bigger. And it's always kind of fun to have two possibilities that you're okay with either way. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Excuse me, because very often you feel like it's when you start looking at big shows that people get invested in, it's like, okay, it's going to go this way or that way, and you're like, I really don't want it to go that way. I really want it to go this way, and it's like I said, it's nice and fun to be like, okay, it could go either way, and I'm happy, I'm good, like. It's cool.
Are we gonna go into Auntie?
Yes.
Okay, because I
We are
have
going
a
to.
lot of thoughts on that.
Yes, absolutely, and that's why we're going to take a word from our sponsors real quick, because we need to talk about Auntie quite a bit. So, Scottish guy, you're in the folder. Take it away.
Grow Generation, where the pros go to grow. For all of your cultivation needs, Grow Generation has the right products, service and staff to make your grow successful. Go to www.growgeneration.com, where the pros go to grow.
It's always funny. We always just call him Scottish guy. It's like we're afraid to name drop Cam Clark, the senior editor and head of the writing staff at LRMonline.com. Does a great job, and it's fun because he's my wife's boss, and I'm a senior editor, but I oversee the multimedia side of things, and I'm just like, I don't tell me, you talk to him, or if he's like, hey, don't talk to me, talk to her. I just tell her when to show up and record. So Auntie is a creation of Akane. She tells him that he's a kaiju, and there is another kaiju that's very, very similar to Akane in sound and style and stuff like that, who runs around kind of being a like just she's exposition and helps get.
She feels like something that was a seed for something in
Yes.
another show. That's what I was getting from her.
So yeah, and I think that's a real possibility. It's not. I'll say that it's not something that I caught in Dynazenon, but definitely possible. But Auntie's created, and he's created with one purpose: to beat, and is the word that you hear used often, is to beat Gridman. And he goes through this existential crisis of not being able to beat Gridman, to really realizing the only way to beat Gridman is to join Gridman and become better, almost the Vegeta complex, if you will, once the Saiyan saga is over, and you get once the Frieza saga is over, and it's a potentially stereotypical thing, but it goes beyond that, man. Go ahead, rip into Auntie. Tell me how much you love characters with white hair.
Going into the whole idea of free will yet again, and that similar to what they did with Rika. Here's a character who has a very specific purpose, and yet is able to manipulate that purpose into becoming somewhat of a protagonist himself, starting out as an antagonist and sort of switching over. And I love that. I love that with both characters. I like that idea that it's almost like it was trying to say, and I do think there was something deeper here, because that was a theme of the whole show. Even you were born for this very specific purpose, that you You are locked into this. Well, there's ways to interpret that. There's ways to use that to your advantage. Don't feel limited, even though your creation was supposedly limited, you know. And like you said, I think there are some ideas of, you know, some theology ideas woven into that. But his character is so adamant through a whole series. He's just, you know, his whole purpose. He pops up in multiple episodes. He's constantly fighting. He has a couple of really cool moves when he's fighting Gridman. And then and I was also thinking it had it was reminding me a little bit of like Attack on Titan. The idea of just, you know, being a little dude walking around and then boom, you're this big ass thing. So that popped in my mind. But in the end, becoming he was so badass when he was changing forms. And then the team up at the end. I mean, it was really cool. It was the kind of stuff where these kind of shows, those are the moments you're cheering. Those are the moments you're wanting, you know, you're looking for, and they gave it to us. But the way his character was left, yet again, I'm sitting there like, okay, this has got to be a setup for something, because he's still there. Everyone else is gone, who you know was involved in all this stuff. Everyone who's, you know, gods or aliens or whatever, not him.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. You know, Rika, her whole weaponized version of her lock-in is you can't turn against me. Okay, I'm not going to fight you anymore. I'm going to help you.
Yes.
And Auntie's like, okay, well, I have to beat Gridman. Well, in order to do that, I got to be better than him. I can't get better than him if I keep losing to him, because I'm not gonna really learn that much, because every time I copy him, he figures out how to beat it. It'll be an endless cycle. And so he's like, okay, well then I'm gonna be part of his team and I'll be better than him than that. And once that happens, I've now beat Gridman. It's brilliant. I love so much, and this is why I kept stopping us from talking about it yesterday. It's like no, because I want it's so cool to see, because these are comments that you can apply on Western theologies, some of the Near East theologies, and even into some of the Far East that have hands-on deities. You know, not all civilizations have a hands-on god or gods, but some do. And you can, like I said, man, you can just look at just the bare surface, bad things happening to a world, and explaining it away to good deities. You know, it's great. And Auntie himself being able to defeat his chains by joining his enemy, like it's brilliant, man.
Yeah. And the whole even expansion of the idea of the kaiju, because there's a lot of conversations about Gridman has a code in terms of what he can and can't kill. And they're like, well, you're slaughtering these kaiju. And he's like, yeah, well, they're not really alive. But then Auntie is sort of changing and becoming something different. And so they're playing with the idea of that. And then also it makes the viewer sit back and say, well, you're who are you even, Gridman, to put a price or to define life? Because these things, you know, they seem alive to me as far as my definition. And I even like the fact that the giant kaiju that are in the distance are the ones fixing the city every night, or you know, after she screws things up. So I don't know. I think there was a little interesting thing there also with the idea of Gridman's moral code. And what does it really mean? And is he right or is he wrong? You know, in terms of his value of what should be allowed to live and what shouldn't.
I will give you this clue about what you're in for with Dynazenon. There's a group of characters known as the Kaiju Eugenicists.
Ooh.
Yeah, and I'm telling you that the name matters. It does indeed matter.
it's just cool that they've taken this genre, and I hate that cliche thing, oh, the deconstruction of a genre, but it really is, and it's
Yeah.
done in such a really clever way, at least with this Gridman. Like I said, I'm very excited to watch the other series. But
I could tell as soon as you were like, yeah, the kaiju that are fixing the city at night. I'm like, he's already sniffing that the kaiju are likely matter in this more than we think. You're 1,000% on the right trail. Oh man, we've talked a lot about the themes that this world has, and the way that the world works, and there's this digital realm, there's that Sim City itself, version of Earth, and then there's the real world, because at the very end it's their god Akane waking up in what appears to be the real world, and where she's pulled out of her computer world, manifested, maybe brought that phone case into her computer world from an outside world memory. But either way, it's her because of that phone case. Being an outcast with Sho, with Auntie, things like helplessness with Auntie and Rika, things dealing with control and loss of control with Akane. These themes are not lightweight themes, man, and this show is easily entertaining for teenagers, but there's so much depth here. Is there any more you want to expand on any of those or add to?
That final shot, I mean, that was for me yet again another nod to Evangelion. That was screaming the end of Evangelion movie. Like I'm sitting there like, oh. It's interesting that they've taken, and in terms of the deep themes, it's such a well done balance, because if you want to sit there and you want to analyze it and everything, you can, but if you just want to see a bunch of shit fighting, you can, because every episode features a battle, and you get the transformations and the combining and a lot of cool action. So it's well balanced as far as that. Like you could set a kid in front of this and say, just look at all the cool shit fighting.
Yeah,
they'd be really into it, or sit back and think, oh, there's more being said here.
Yeah. I kid you not, and if any of you guys have like a theology teacher, philosophy teacher, professor that legitimately suggest them to take a look at that and see, are we reading there's definitely some theological messaging going on here. I love it. I absolutely love it. We can't talk about Gridman without talking about the fights, and not just the animation, which is beautifully done. Both characters are gorgeous, whether you like hair or not. But I do love the characters. I love the color scheme and the palettes you use. But it's all about the fights, the kaiju, and man, I'm telling you, Studio Trigger and is it Gorilla Studios that does Horizon? You guys need to get together. You guys need to get together like yesterday. I don't even care if it's a love hotel. Just do it and give us a Horizon set anime, because that would just be awesome. What do you think about the animation here, man, and those fights?
Oh, it was great. I didn't have any issues with the animation. I was going into it because I'd seen some clips. I was a little concerned because it looks like in some parts they combine some computer effects, but they do it. They blend it seamlessly, and because there's some anime that I've seen where you sort of mix the two and shit. It's horrible, but no, to me it worked perfectly. Matter of fact, I can't really think of anything that bothered me with the animation outside of there were a couple of sequences, some of the reused, especially with the transformations were all reused. There was a couple of fights where they would reuse certain parts,
and I think that was on purpose because they did that in the show.
Yeah,
in the OG stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, it saves production value, saves production,
But that was noticeable. But again, it didn't bother me, dude. I like the one that's head turned into a drill.
Yes.
I mean, there were some really cool moves. I was like, oh, that's cool.
I love how they included the extra team, the Neon Genesis junior high schoolers, and they're like you're there in junior high, and it's like for most Americans, essentially in anime, if they say junior high, just think that they're sophomores or juniors in high school. Okay, that's pretty much the age range of what all of this is most likely. And I know that they'll say different in what's officially. I'm not talking about what's in the story. I'm talking about what's being depicted. Age it up a bit, basically. It's their additions one at a time. You get to learn about all these intermediate transformations to where, dude, it's a long time before you see the total transformation, the Ultra Gridman. And every time they do it, and the music kicks in, but it doesn't hit as hard until they realize, hey, if we shrink down and then we combine, and then we'll be as tall as Gridman was originally. That'll be and that music kicks in, that OP hits, dude.
It was really
cool.
Yeah. You get OG, like you said, OG Gridman, and there was they really care about the property. Like you could tell that throughout, especially in those last 2 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really neat. Yeah.
Yeah, that the Don son is just you're like, it's cheesy as all hell, but it needed to happen. And they did it. And it's great. And let's mention, I do love the opening, Union by, I don't know if it's OT and the X is supposed to be like a period between the two, or if it's OXT, but that's the band, and I dig it. Most of the music throughout is easily forgettable, but not bad. It fits everything that you see, but it's really the use of that opening theme for key moments in the battle that remind you and I of course of Power Rangers theme hitting every time Megazords the Zords are coming out, and it's just an homage to all of that. It's a love letter to all of that. What did you think about the use of music and specifically the songs part?
Yeah, it all worked perfectly in this, and it's when you get to those last episodes. I mean, it's sort of the anime thing when things got serious and we were getting introspective. The piano kicks in and it's raining, and it all worked very well. But dude, Gridman and Gridnight team up, that shit was I was like, yes. I rewatched a few of those clips a couple times.
I bet, man. Those are some really good fights. I mean, it's not just that they do the character designs well. I love how they use light and how light reflects off of Gridman, like how light comes off of Gridnight. And is it just me, or did you not notice how great light is used in such a dark and gloomy world?
Yeah. And it, because they really emphasized in certain parts the fogginess and everything. And yeah, I definitely see what you mean as far as the lighting and the way it worked.
Yeah, I absolutely loved it. I can't wait to see more from Studio Trigger. I can't wait for you to get it through Dynazenon. It's a completely connected yet completely independent story that fits into the Gridman universe, and it is in many ways, dude, it's even deeper. And what's going to happen next is just, and you're already going to know where it's going to happen. Maybe about halfway through, you're going to be like, oh shit, fuck yeah. And then and you just need to text me what your exact words are, because I'm pretty sure it's going to be, oh shit, fuck yeah. But it's deeper, and it's not necessarily that I need more Gridman Universe. If they wrap it up in 3 or 4 projects, great. If it's wrapped up nicely, I'm fine. I don't. It's always bittersweet to say goodbye to a good show, but how many shows have we said, "Oh God, I wish it would have ended after season 5 or something like that"? You know?
Oh yeah. Quite often, in fact.
Yeah, and at the same time, I look at this team that have worked on these 2 projects, and I'm just like, man, you guys just pick something, and I'm gonna watch it now. Like Studio Trigger's doing the twins, the Dark Side Twins, story from Star Wars Visions. As soon as I found, like, I was gonna see Visions already, right? Just because it's anime Star Wars, right? We've seen some fan films, some like officially unofficial stuff ranging in manga and anime before, but this is like officially official and getting money. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then when they announce triggers on it, it's like, not only is that cool, but how do I get into a time machine and see that? Because even if the story is crap, it's gonna look amazing and sound amazing. And really, dude, it's those fight moves, the grabbing the monster and flipping it, those like wrestling kicks that they use in the old shows with the people in the rubber suits. And they did it with animation, man. You, I know, are a huge wrestling fan, and I know you were getting a big kick out of a lot of that.
I do, like I said, those last couple episodes, you're right. There's straight up some wrestling moves being done, and it happens, and then they slam into buildings. The buildings are destroyed. Yeah, it's all the coolest stuff you can do with kaiju, and it's in this show. If you're into kaiju on any level, if you're a Godzilla fan but not necessarily like an Ultraman person, you watch this. You know,
if you're I can't remember who it was. Someone was talking about like lack of real mecha, like Gundam-esque new mecha that's not Gundam in recent years, and they're like, this is the closest thing you can find. And it's like, yeah, absolutely. If you like mecha, this will tickle that fancy for you.
I would agree with that. Definitely.
Yeah. If you're looking for a good drama, this will tickle that fancy for you. I mean, yeah, sure. There's some things where you could point out, well, this, maybe we're trying to be cheesy, but you went a little too far here, or this feels out of place, or this was a little bit predictable. But when it's all wrapped up and delivered to you, you're just left satisfied, in my opinion. What do you say?
Yeah. There, like I said, there was some of the Akane stuff, like I said, specifically episode 5 bothered me, but for the most part, no, it really didn't. There's a few little cliche things. The one girl kicking show a bunch. I was like, that was a little annoying. It sort of had a payoff. Yeah, it had a little bit of a payoff in the last episode.
Yeah.
And of course, Yuta's hair. But besides all that, no, it's not that. It's taken very seriously.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. With that, man, time to grade this shit and close this shit out. I give it a B+, solid all day long.
I give it an A-.
A little bit above me. Nice. That's cool. What brings it down to the A- for you?
Like I said, there was like I said, I couldn't tell if it was fan servicey or what was the point of episode 5. if I need a commentary to explain to me what was going on, because if it was the entire series, I'd be like, okay, that's just sort of what they were up to. It wasn't. It was like one episode, and I just thought it was odd. Let me see, and like I said, there were some setups that I don't know. I wanted a little bit more here and there, but for the most part, this is a series I will rewatch.
Yeah,
and perhaps my score will go up or down.
Yeah, and that's what I'm going to kind of say. And it's not really a knock against this in any way. It's literally that I had recently just finished Dynazenon completely when you and I were talking about getting close to doing this. And so I went from Dynazenon back to back basically to this. And that's why mine's not an A minus, because I would agree with you 100% if I hadn't finished Dynazenon. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just the bar is raised.
Damn.
And I have to kind of put it in context with itself, but not itself. And
Yeah,
Brian's going to have to really watch it, because in my opinion, the bar is raised to the point to where you're like, yeah, man, comparatively, I think you'll agree when you're like at the use of music, at the use of references, at the use of characters, at the use of you're gonna just, and the mystery aspect, which I know you absolutely love, is, like I said, this is deeper, man. So if episode 5 and 4, 5, and 6 are you're stepping off that continental shelf, right? Then Dynazenon, I think you should agree, by episode 3, you're now falling into the Marianas Trench. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. And man, Loki could not have come out at a better time, Brian, because you're right in the mind frame of where you should be at to watch Dynazenon. Just saying.
All exciting. Can't wait.
Yeah, right. So, and I haven't
It's just
oversold
exciting.
anything so far, have I?
Because what's cool is like it's an anime, but it's new anime.
Yeah, right.
That's really good. Yeah, very exciting. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely. So yeah, everyone, please do check this out. And with that, I've plugged our stuff a few times before. Check out our sponsors over at Grow Generation. Let them know who sent you. LRM Online's Genreverse Podcast Network, or just LRM Online or Genreverse. Either way it'll work. Just throw those words in there. Check out our YouTube channel if you're watching us there. Hit that subscribe button, please. If you're not, go do it. Sign into your Google account. Hit that subscribe button. Help us pay the bills, so we don't have to ask you guys to help us pay the bills with anything other than beautiful ad watch time. And speaking of ad watch time, go check out the beautiful ads over on LRMonline.com and read the awesome stories from all of the writers over there. And we got our interviewers doing an amazing job speaking with A-class talent. Hell, we spoke with the Taskmaster. I cannot pronounce her name properly, so I will apologize for that. But we've got interviews with her and people involved with like Space Jam, which I know is a meme right now, but you can go check it out, because Manny actually got to talk to Bugs and Lola Bunny in a way, like that's legit. Cool. I mean, like,
I hadn't seen that.
It's Bugs and Lola on screen for certain. Yeah, it's interesting. It's on our YouTube channel, so you guys can check that out. And then, of course, all of our podcasts are available wherever you get your podcasts from. Genreverse Podcast Network, LRM Online, and we got a Marvel show, Marvel Multiverse Mayhem. Now that the multiverse is loose and Disney's not just doing stuff on Fridays anymore. And then we've got our Star Wars podcast, The Cantina, and then we've got, of course, Anime-Versal reviews and AVR Midnight Run, which Christine and I do with puppets. That's right, I said puppets. So if you
highly recommend it.
Thank you, Brian. If you guys maybe caught some of the audio and were like, what's going on here, go to the YouTube channel, check out Midnight Run's video. There is a full video with cleverly ad-libbed scenes with puppets. What'd you think of the characters that we used and just the variety?
Well, see, that's the best part. You got Gundams and Green Ranger. If you're just listening to that, I recommend going back to the YouTube channel and watching the visuals.
Thanks. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff, including our daily show, The Daily Cup of Genre, with Manny and I every morning/afternoon, depending on whenever you catch it. And that's really good stuff. And Brian, tell the good people about what you do.
You can find me on YouTube. The channel is PulpMythos, and I review shows like Why Women Kill, and I'll be doing American Horror Story double feature later in August.
there you guys go. Indy, check all that out. You guys can find me at that Malone on Twitter. And yeah, other than that, next week will be AVR Midnight Run with Christine and I doing Chobits. Which Brian, you've seen Chobits, haven't you?
I like 20
Parts of
years
it.
ago.
Yeah.
Pieces,
Matt and I discovered that on the shelf of Hastings once. I think that's how I found it. Anyways, check that out, guys. I can't wait to see who gets turned into a puppet next time. Bye.